just going to, I guess, reiterate what Councilor Ryder said. So there is no escaping this fact. The vote we are about to take is serious and to some a source of worry. I acknowledge the concern, and as one resident put it to me, Carmel just seems too good to be true. Something has to be wrong. I appreciate the input I received from community both for and against this bond. In light of that, I want to restate a pledge that I made during my campaign for this seat and offer some perspective that helped guide me in this decision. First of all, I promised that I would consider every idea, project, or proposal, regardless of whose it is, and I would judge it solely on its merits. Number two, I also promised that I would rely on facts and data, and I would try not to be swayed by trending opinions, fear, or emotion when discerning my decision. Because of how this bond was initially presented, and I think we can do better, but I felt it was important to respond to every person who sent me their concerns about the projects and the things that were part of this bond. Through email, certainly, but when I could, I asked for permission to speak on the phone or in person. I also tried to share the data and details that I was privy to through my monthly newsletter, social media, and 2 public open forums, one with the mayor and one without. Now, not everyone agreed with me, of course, but I at least tried to offer the other side of the story. The first general objection to this bond seems to revolve around a common theme that Carmel has too much debt and it is irresponsible for us to consider adding more. From dialoguing with people who share that concern, I was trying to understand their concern and their feelings, and it appeared as though they wanted me to manage the city's finances similar to the way we all manage our own personal checkbooks. The other contributing factor that would come up over and over was the discussion with our federal deficit and debt. That gets linked. As I stated earlier, I like to deal with facts. So after 20 years of the mayor's leadership and building this economic engine that we now enjoy, I think we're now seeing its fruits. We have the second to highest bond rating, a AA+. We have the 4th lowest taxes in the state, the lowest water and trash collection rates in Hamilton County. We send 21 firefighters in 7 vehicles to residential fire alarms. We have a fully funded police and fire pension. We maintain a 10-year fiscal plan showing all positive cash balances, a 15% cash reserve policy, the lowest automobile personal injury accident rates in Indiana, the 6th safest place to live, 125 corporate headquarters, and the most telling one to me when I received these emails is that of all this debt, residential property taxpayers only pay 4% of it. So in our Finance Committee meeting that Councilor Ryder spoke about, and it was open to the public, and I appreciate all of you that were out there that came. The financial experts were there. They are financial experts that deal with other communities in the state of Indiana, and they have a long track record, and I think a successful track record with us. But regardless of whether you name our debt at $1.2 billion, which includes all principal, interest, and fees for the life of the loan, or you measure it, as I do, as principal, which now, based on the motion before us, is $876 million. No matter how you measure it, their message was unwavering. Our coverage ratios, ability to pay, forecasts without growth, and sound financial modeling all indicate this is not irresponsible. So why does borrowing money work for Carmel? It allows us to build infrastructure and amenities that attract businesses and the employees that come with those businesses. The cost of debt is borne primarily by commercial property taxpayers. One zone definitely has an opinion about this, but instead of, and also the income taxes that come with those employees. But still, the call goes out to build only when we have the money, similar again to our personal checkbooks. I respect that, but I would also offer that by bonding and spreading the cost out over 20 years, Taxpayers here for 30 years, and I see many of you out there, pay the same for that amenity as the taxpayer that moves in tomorrow. We all pay the same and spread it out over 20 years. So remember, Carmel never operates in a deficit. Therefore, I do not believe that anyone can say outright that voting for this bond is irresponsible. You can disagree with me, and I accept that, but I do not accept irresponsible. Now for the projects that are within this bond and generated the most feedback, at least in my inbox. I am opposed to the Carousel and will support removal of it from this bond. I just could not disagree with the logic used by those voicing opposition to me. However, I still want to commend the mayor for bringing new ideas to our community, and I want to encourage him to continue doing so. I will support the hotel, but I'm supporting it for the following reasons. This project has two primary components to it. The leisure, bleisure, for those of you who don't know what that is, business and leisure combined, and business travelers who will use the upper floors of this hotel. We have good market data to support these three user groups and have generated pro formas to reflect their expected use, including worst case scenarios as Councilor Ryder just referenced. But the component least mentioned in news reports is building an amenity component for us, for our community. A large number of users of this facility will come from the Carmel zip code and will never press the up button on the elevator past the second floor. Can this hotel become an adult gathering place, a place to connect with friends, a place to see your neighbors and associates in an atmosphere unlike anywhere else we have in the city? That's the goal. That's the dream. That's the vision. An active lobby that has a vibe and a feel for socializing and meeting, an upscale restaurant for a different kind of evening, and a nightclub that offers live entertainment and a missing Carmel nightlife element. If we think this hotel is like the others in town, on the surface, I would agree with you. We don't need it. But can you imagine the exact opposite? When you walk into the lobby, you have a very different experience of any other facility in Carmel where you actually will see familiar faces in the lobby instead of only travelers. Now, as others have said, and I appreciate One Zone and their comments, this project was not taken lightly. I regret that I only met Mr. Hinton today. I would have loved to have dialogued with you further because it was very interesting, and there's still a place for you to continue to advise us. But a lot of work went into creating the budget and pro formas. In my case, I vetted that pro forma with a second set of eyes. I used Paul O'Connor, who was the operator of the Renaissance Hotel from opening to 9 years. He was willing to review the pro forma and to give me his candid observations because he no longer works in this market. Not in the hotel industry, but in this market. He gave me permission to use his name. He's a resident of Carmel, and he's proud to live here, and I will most likely let him speak for himself, but he encouraged us to go forward. We also invested multiple meetings with One Zone, the Carmel Chamber, reviewing concerns, addressing the financing, and quantifying the benefit as well as the harm to the business community. They have, as you just heard, come out in support of this. A market study was performed in 2016 by CBRE for this property. I've referred often to the Nelson and DeRue's 2014 Cornell University study that documents 32 other communities. Someone wrote me an email saying that was inappropriate. They did start out with conventions, but the study clearly states that they moved towards boutique downtown hotels. 3 committee meetings for the Finance Committee with experts and the CRC. I'm grateful for the Finance Committee for the CRC. Dave Bowers is here for his guidance. So, while you may disagree with my analysis, I want to assure you, you did not go unheard. But in the end, I can find no compelling reason to oppose this project or the bond itself based on data and the facts.
Thank you, Councilor Worrell.